This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Welcome to History in the Eyes of a Southerner with your host, Anthony Allen. On this channel, we will take a journey through time and relate history to the contemporary eyes of modern America. I hope you enjoy the ride as I investigate and document the wonderful events that have shaped our present world.
Of one university is one communist too many. One communist among the American advisors at Yalta was one communist too many. And even if there were only one communist in the State Department, even if there were only one communist in the State Department, that would still be one communist too many.
All right, now I'm going to get into the rise and fall of McCarthy. Joe McCarthy, as I've stated in previous videos, and if y'all are watching them in series, this should be the 5th video. He, as I said in a previous video, was a senator of no consequence. He was just a junior senator from nowhere, Wisconsin. And while he was going through trying to figure out a way to get reelected, he stumbled on the Great Communist Scare, the Red Scare. And he pretty well kicked it off almost by himself. He made claims that 205 members of the Communist Party are in the State Department. He said this in Wheeling, West Virginia, in a little small Republican celebration town hall meeting, basically, that nobody really gave a shit about. Well, him pushing his propaganda, which is what the previous video was on, was propaganda, cost a lot of people a lot of heartache, and a lot of them were people who either said, go fuck yourself, effectively, or you making claims against me, show me the proof. McCarthy got so popular and so powerful that the Supreme Court was afraid to stand up against him for fear that they too would be labeled a communist. He pushed his propaganda and pushed it hard. Hard. There was a communist under every rock. Oh my God. Look there. Look there. Look under that rock. There's a communist under there. You better be careful opening up your mailbox. There might be a communist hiding in it. Russians are in the bushes and in the trees. And oh my God, don't get me started on the Red Chinese. That was what was going on. It was hysteria. It was mass hysteria for political gain. Mass hysteria for political gain. And these same tactics happen today, but that's going to be for another video. I'm going to explain that. But just watch this on how he claims communists are infiltrating everything. But yet, if you pay attention, he doesn't really have any proof. And that, my friends, is the tragedy. Y'all watch.
My recollection was that in this now famous 2¼ page document, there were about 35 names listed. This is pretty serious. Have we had anything as serious as this so far?
Well, yes, I think we've got something much more serious right now. Right this
Well, I'm
moment.
talking about prior to this hearing.
May I answer that question, Mr. Chairman? I think we've got a much more serious situation now in communist infiltration of the CIA. Disturbs me beyond words.
Well, we haven't. The members of the committee have not been advised, and I do think that...
Oh, yes, they have. Oh, yes, they have.
Have we, the names and of the people...
I've discussed this matter with the members of the committee. I've also discussed with the members of the committee the question of communist infiltration of atomic and hydrogen bomb plants. I felt that was, I think, even more important than this infiltration at
just let me finish in view of this one point. May I have from the files all the memos and meetings and minutes with reference to this matter so that we on the committee can be fully informed?
You certainly may, Senator, certainly may.
Well, may I ask the distinguished chairman, have we yet received the names, and I assume they're in the file, of the claimed 133 communists that are ready for investigation? I've asked for it. Have I yet received it?
You would know better than I, Senator.
I would know better than
the information is available to you.
But I'd like to know something in advance. I'd like to have at least a little advance information.
Senator McClellan, may I say that you know that I have been tied up here day and night with this investigation. I frankly don't have the time now, and that's one of the reasons why I object to this show continuing on the road. As soon as we get through with this, I'm sure the Senator Markinsaw knows that I have been always completely frank with him. He can have every piece of information we have. It so happens, as you know, I've got a lot of respect for the Senator Markinsaw. I hope that.
Well, thank you.
I hope that doesn't hurt you in your campaign.
I think you know I never want anything but what's fair. And that's all I'm asking now.
You will have every piece of information, John, that you...
I'll be very glad to get what I've requested at your convenience. I hope it'll be soon.
Mr. Cone, what is the exact number of communists or subversives that are loose today in these defense plans?
The exact number that is loose, sir?
Yes, sir.
I don't know.
Roughly how many?
I can only tell you, sir, what we know about.
Well, that's 130, is that right?
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to particularize for you if I can.
I'm in a hurry. I don't want the sun to go down while they're still in there if we can get them out.
I'm afraid we won't be able to work that.
Well, I've got a suggestion about it, sir. How many are there?
I believe the figure is approximately 130.
Approximately 130.
Yes, sir. Those are people, Mr. Welch,
I don't care. You've told us who they are. And how many plants are they?
How many plants?
How many plants?
Yes, sir. Just 1 minute, sir. I see 16 offhand.
16 plants. Are you alarmed at that situation, Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir, I am.
Nothing could be more alarming, could it?
Certainly a very alarming thing.
Will you not, before the sun goes down, give those names to the FBI and at least have those men put under surveillance?
Sir, if there is need for surveillance in case of espionage or anything like that, I can well assure you that Mr. John Edgar Hoover and his men know a lot better than I, and I might respectfully suggest, sir, than probably a lot of us, just who should be put under surveillance. I do not propose to tell the FBI how to run its shop.
And they do it. And they do it, don't they, Mr. Cohen?
When the need arises, of course.
Then they've got the whole 130, have they, Mr. Cohen?
I am sure of it, sir, and a lot
Well,
more.
then what's all the excitement about if J. Edgar Hoover is on the job chasing these 130 communists?
Mr. Welch, all the excitement of...
Well, then as a second line of defense, let's send the 130 names to the Department of Defense tonight. Would you mind doing that?
Whatever the committee directs on that, sir.
I wish the committee would direct that all the names be sent both to the FBI and to the Department of Defense with extreme suddenness.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Chairman, view of that request. Not exactly, Mr. Chairman, but in view of Mr. Welch's request that the information be given once we know of anyone who might be performing any work for the Communist Party, I think we should tell him that he has in his law firm a young man named Fisher, whom he recommended incidentally to do the work in this committee, who has been for a number of years a member of an organization which was named, years and years ago, as the legal bulwark of the Communist Party, an organization which always springs to the defense of anyone who dares to expose communists. I certainly assume that Mr. Welch did not know of this young man at the time he recommended him as the assistant counsel for this committee, but he has such terror and such a great desire to know where anyone is located who may be serving the communist cause, Mr. Welch, that I thought we should just call to your attention the fact that your Mr. Fisher, who is still in your law firm today, whom you asked to have down here looking over the secret and classified material, is a member of an organization not named by me, but named by various committees, named by the Attorney General, as I recall. He belonged to it long after it had been exposed as the legal arm of the Communist Party. Knowing that, Mr. Welch, I just felt that I had a duty to respond to your urgent request that before sundown, when we know of anyone serving the communist cause, we let the agency know. We are now letting you know that your man did belong to this organization for either 3 or 4 years, belonged to it long after he was out of law school. Now, I have hesitated bringing that up, but I have been rather bored with your phony request to Mr. Cohen here that he personally get every communist out of government before sundown. Therefore, we will give you the information about the young man in your own organization. Now, I'm not asking you at this time to explain why you tried to foist him on this committee. That you did, the committee knows. Whether you knew that he was a member of that communist organization or not, I don't know. I assume you did not, Mr. Welch, because I get the impression that while you are quite an actor, you play for a laugh. I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party. I don't think you yourself would ever knowingly aid the communist cause. I think you are unknowingly aiding it when you try to burlesque this hearing in which we are attempting to bring out the facts, however.
Notice how he has absolutely no documents, no claims. The senator said, hey, you know, if this is all true, man, let's get these guys out of here. You know, let's pass this information along to J. Edgar Hoover, to the FBI. Let's pass this information on to whoever we need to pass it to. Let's disseminate this information to the appropriate channels to get rid of them. Nobody has any information. Nobody. Now let's watch when everybody's had enough, and then I'll give you my conclusions.
In view of that request, not exactly, Mr. Chairman, but in view of Mr. Welch's request that the information be given once we know of anyone who might be performing any work for the Communist Party, I think we should tell him that he has in his law firm a young man named Fisher, whom he recommended incidentally to do the work in this committee, who has been for a number of years a member of an organization which was named, years and years ago, as the legal bulwark of the Communist Party, an organization which always swings to the defense of anyone who dares to expose communists. I certainly assume that Mr. Welch did not know of this young man at the time he recommended him as the assistant counsel for this committee, but he has such terror and such a great desire to know where anyone is located who may be serving the communist cause, Mr. Welch, and I thought we should just call to your attention the fact that you're Mr. Fisher, who is still in your law firm today, whom you asked to have down here looking over the secret and classified material, is a member of an organization not named by me, but named by various committees, named by the Attorney General, as I recall. He belonged to it long after it had been exposed as the legal arm of the Communist Party. Knowing that, Mr. Welch, I just felt that I had a duty to respond to your urgent request that before sundown, when we know of anyone serving the communist cause, we let the agency know. We are now letting you know that your man did belong to this organization for either 3 or 4 years, belonged to it long after he was out of law school. Now, I have hesitated bringing that up, but I have been rather bored with your phony request to Mr. Cohen here that he personally get every communist out of government before sundown. Therefore, we will give you the information about the young man in your own organization. Now, I'm not asking you at this time to explain why you tried to foist him on this committee. That you did, the committee know. Whether you knew that he was a member of that communist organization or not, I don't know. I assume you did not, Mr. Welch, because I get the impression that while you are quite an actor, you play for a laugh. I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party. I don't think you yourself would ever knowingly aid the Communist cause. I think you are unknowingly aiding it when you try to burlesque this hearing in which we are attempting to bring out the facts, however.
Mr. Chairman, well, it's fair to say
question, there's no recognition, no memory of Mr. Welch recommending either Mr. Fisher or anybody else as counsel for this committee.
I will put in the record that, Mr. Chairman, the news story on that.
Under these circumstances, I must myself have something approaching a personal privilege. Senator McCarthy, I did not know, Senator, sometimes you say, may I have your attention? May I have your attention? Now, this time, sir, I want you to listen with both. Senator McCarthy, I think until this moment...
Let me ask, Jim, when you get the news story, the fact that this man belongs to this Communist Front organization...
I will tell you that he belongs to it.
Will you get the citations, what are the citations showing that this was the legal arm of the Communist Party and the length of time that he belonged, the fact that he was recommended to Mr. Welch? I think that should be in the record.
Senator, you won't need anything in the record when I finish telling you this. Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. Fred Fisher is a young man who went to the Harvard Law School and came into my firm and is starting what looks to be a brilliant career with us. When I decided to work for this committee, I asked Jim St. Clair, who sits on my right, to be my first assistant. I said to Jim, pick somebody in the firm to work under you that you would like. He chose Fred Fisher, and they came down on an afternoon plane. That night, when we had taken a little stab at trying to see what the case is about, Fred Fisher and Jim St. Clair and I went to dinner together. I then said to these two young men, boys, I don't know anything about you except I've always liked you. But if there's anything funny in the life of either one of you that would hurt anybody in this case, you speak up quick. And Fred Fisher said, Mr. Welch, when I was in the law school, and for a period of months after, I belonged to the Lawyers Guild, as you have suggested, Senator. He went on to say, I am secretary of the Young Republicans League in Newton, with the son of Massachusetts governor. And I have the respect and admiration of my community, and I'm sure I have the respect and admiration of the 25 lawyers or so in Hale and Dover. And I said, Fred, I just don't think I'm going to ask you to work on the case. If I do one of these days, that will come out and go over national television, and it will just hurt like the dickens. So, Senator, I asked him to go back to Boston. Little did I dream you could be so reckless and so cruel as to do an injury to that lad. It is true he is still with Hale and Dover. It is true that he will continue to be with Hale and Dover. It is, I regret to say, equally true that I fear he shall always bear a scar needlessly inflicted by you. If it were in my power to forgive you for your reckless cruelty, I would do so. I like to think I'm a gentleman. But your forgiveness will have to come from someone other than me.
Mr. Chairman, may I say that Mr. Welch talks about this being cruel and reckless. He was just baiting. He has been baiting Mr. Cohen here for hours, requesting that Mr. Cohen, before sundown, get out of any department of the government anyone who is serving the communist cause. Now, I just give this man's record
And I want to say, Mr. Welch, that it has been labeled long before he became a member, as early as 1944.
Senator, may we not drop this? We know he belongs to the Lawyers Guild. And Mr. Cole nods his head at me. I did you, I think, no personal injury, Mr. Cole.
No, sir.
I meant to do you no personal injury. And if I did, I beg your pardon. Let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
I know this hurts you, Mr. Welch.
I'll say it
May
hurts.
I say, Mr. Chairman, as a point of personal privilege, I'd like to finish this.
Senator, I think it hurts you too, sir.
I'd like to finish this. I know Mr. Cohen would rather not have me go into this. I intend to, however, and Mr. Welch talks about any sense of decency. It seems that Mr. Welch is pained so deeply, he thinks it's improper for me to give the record, the Communist Front record, of the man whom he wanted to foist upon this committee. But it doesn't pain him at all. There's no pain in his chest about the attempt to destroy the reputation and take the jobs away from the young men who are working in my committee. And Mr. Welch, if I have said anything here which is untrue, then tell me. I have heard you and everyone else talk so much about laying the truth upon the table that when I heard it completely phony, Mr. Welch, I've listened to you now for a long time, to saying now before sundown you must get these people out of government. So that I just want to have it very clear that you were not so serious about that when you tried to recommend this man for this committee. But the point is, Mr.
Chair, I'd like to say again that he does not believe Mr. Welch recommended Mr. Fisher as counsel for this committee because he had, through his office, all the recommendations which were made and does not recall any of them coming from Mr. Welch, and that would include Mr. Fisher.
Well, let me ask Mr. Welch. You brought him down, did you not, to act as your assistant?
Mr. McCarthy, I will not discuss this further with you. You have sat within 6 feet of me and could have asked me about Fred Fisher. You have seen fit to bring it out, and if there is a God in heaven, it will do neither you nor your cause any good. I will not discuss it further. I will not ask Mr. Cohen any more witnesses. You, Mr. Chairman, may, if you will, call the next witness.
I think at that point he pretty well knew he was done. The applause at Mr. Welch and him telling him that, look, man, enough is enough. I honestly think he knew he was done. He had gone after quite a few people who had proven their love for this country and their love for America. One of the people that he went after was General Marshall, the designer of the Marshall Plan that saved West Berlin from being taken over by Russia, by Stalin. Former President and General Dwight D. Eisenhower was going to say something about General Marshall. as in thanking him for a job well done. And they were friends. But because of McCarthyism and because of Joe McCarthy and his accusations against General Marshall, a man that served this country honorably in the U.S. Army, by the way, he was advised not to, and he listened to his advisors. This is the propaganda that Joe McCarthy was pushing. If he didn't like you, you're a communist. There was nothing remotely American or pro-American about what he did. There was nothing representative of the Bill of Rights that he did. And it's pretty sad. Now, this type of stuff still continues today. And I'm going to expound on that in future videos. I think this is going to be my last video directly on Joe McCarthy, because this was, I think, 1954. 3 years after this, he would have been dead. Some theories say that he had a lot of medical issues. Some theories say that he drank himself to death after his sudden decline from stardom. But what he started is still alive in this country in the year 2023. And I'm going to get on that more. Thank you for watching History in the Eyes of a Southerner. Your host, Anthony Allen.